Welcome to Make Shit Happen. My guest today is Carlos Salazar. Carlos, thank you for taking the drive. Thank you for making the time for me, man, for coming over here to Make Shit Happen podcast studios. Thank you so much.
No, I love it. I mean, looking at this place, looking at everything, I'm just in love with everything, man. I think I'm going to interview you instead of you doing it to me.
I appreciate it, man. So, Carlos, you are, basically an epitome of American dream. You came over here with your family when you were 14 years old, and you're 29 now, and you were a teacher at one point. Tell us a little bit. I mean, if I have to ask people who are listening, if they want to know who's Carlos Salazar and who this guy is, tell us a little bit about you.
Definitely, man. And that's a hard question to ask, or I guess to answer. Every time there's interviews or something like that related to my company, and they ask me, who's Carlos? Tell us about yourself. I have a hard time to explain who I am. I'm coming from a family that is super humble beginnings, from Monterrey, Cadereyta, like a really, really small town in Monterrey. And, not having anything. That's the dream, and that's the life that we had in Mexico. But at the same time, I had everything. I had my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother. We had the playground. We could play soccer. We could be together. Mm-hmm. And at this point of my life, that's when I realized that's who I am. I'm just a kid who's trying to make it work in the U.S., who had to learn the language, who had to be out there, had to make it happen, had to make shit happen. and that's who I am, man. If you talk about professionalism, I guess, I'm just a guy with a company, educational company. I wrote books. I'm a national speaker as well here in the U.S. And especially, I want to make sure that what I do today is going to help the kid who's behind me. Awesome. And people like you, I look up to you as well, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And we have to do something for the kids who are coming behind us. And I want to leave that legacy.
So, you've written some books, and one of your book is also used in Dallas ISD, right? And so tell us a little bit about you. Tell us, what, first of all, when you came to this country, I'm sure you didn't speak the language. Came at 14 years old. You told me that, you came with your family. Tell us how did that happen? Let's talk about the journey from Mexico to United States.
Definitely. So we have to come to the U.S. because my parents were struggling to pay the basic needs. And so we have to leave the country. My dad came to Houston first, and then my mom. Then I had to live with my sister and my brother for like 2 years until we could actually come to the U.S. with the visa. And then we overstayed the visa, and that's how we stay here. In that time, my brother got deported in the first year that we were in the U.S. So then, it was just my family, it was just us, and we had to struggle a lot. I remember those times when we're in that apartment, and my dad would cry, my mom too, and I will make sure that, give him a hug. I said that everything is fine, that we're going to make it together. So those stories, but at the same time, when I talk about myself, I feel like I'm being selfish because there's many of us. That's the story of who we are.
Right.
That's the immigrant story. That's what we represent. That's what we have done in the past. So I think that's why it's hard for me to say, this is who I am and this is my story. I just like to say, this is what we represent and this is the story of the immigrant. Come to the U.S.
Right.
So definitely, we have to go through that. Came to the U.S., not speak the language at all. And it was hard, man. It was hard to be in class, and then you come in from Mexico, and they speak to you in Spanish, and you come to the U.S., and they're talking to you, you don't even know what they're saying. So then I have to get up, and I have to learn. But at the same time, it was many times where I would just feel frustrated. I was like, man, I know I'm smart, but I just don't understand anything. I'm not learning anything. And I was in Houston High School in the north side of Houston, low-income community. And, I had most of my friends speak Spanish. I was in Honduras, El Salvador, like all these guys from those countries. So I was like, I'm not learning nothing. So then we have to move to Arlington, Texas, because my dad had to work over there. And then when it came to Arlington, Texas, it was a big change. It was 10% Hispanic, and the rest was just people speaking English all the time. So then I was like, okay, this is good. I like the challenge. So then they said, well, you have to go to a school where they speak Spanish because you didn't pass the test. I said, no, I'm gonna stay here. And then they had to make you sign a contract that you say, if you fail, it's not our fault. It's your fault and your family's fault that you wanted to stay here. I said, I will stay here. So then that's how I learned. I came back a year later, and I was speaking the language after that. I was fluent now. I could understand. I could write. I could talk to people. I could actually have a life. And that's how I started everything. But at the same time, I was never scared to people talking crap to me, man. I was never scared to speaking and say, hey, you have an accent. Say, yeah, I have an accent. But I will tell you something. The only difference between you and I is that I'm bilingual and you're not. That's what it is. And then they will make fun of my accent again. I was like, you know what? It's not even about the accent. Don't compare my IQ with the way I talk. But if I talk to you in Spanish, then you're going to realize who I really am. So do not criticize my accent. I don't represent my accent. I represent my culture and who I am. And I try to, that was my understanding of saying, this is the U.S.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go through that.
You still gotta have a chip on your shoulder.
Exactly. I'm gonna go through that all the time. And even today, man, I've been here for 14 years now. I still have an accent when I speak the language. But tell me if I feel bad. I feel proud of who I am, and I feel proud of representing my country. Not only my country, but anyone, man. I think I would tell you something today. It's just hard to talk about just one country because we're so divided. I want to talk about everyone. We're all together. Doesn't matter who you are. When I was a high school teacher, I had kids learning Spanish too. And they would tell me, you know what, I'm learning Spanish, but it's hard. I have an accent. I'm like, it's the same thing as me. I have an accent when I speak the language in English, right? You're like, yeah, it's the same thing. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't be sad. It's just the same thing. I mean, you're bilingual. That's all it means. And that's who I am. That's who I am. I try to be humble all the time and always remember where I came from.
Yeah, and I mean, being bilingual is a big thing in this country.
Yep.
And some people might think it's a disadvantage, but it's an advantage. You just speak 2 languages, or some people might speak more than 2. So tell us. So now you learned English. I'm assuming that when y'all came over here, I mean, it was a struggle getting together. I mean, because that's what most immigrant families do. I mean, I know my family did, right? Yeah. I mean, we went through a lot of struggle and to make ends meet. And so tell me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about the family struggle that you had to go through. Tell me, how did it get from where you were at to where you're at now?
And I gotta tell you, when I talk about struggles, it's hard for me to say we went through a lot because we went through a lot together as a family.
That's it.
We faced it together.
That's it.
For me to say today it was a struggle, I don't think it's fair for me to say that. The fact that I was with my dad and my mom and my sister and my brother, that's more than enough to have a good life, even if you're struggling economically, right? And I know many other kids are going through a lot without their parents, man. They're by themselves and they're going through a lot. So for me to say we struggle, it's hard for me to say that.
Well, yeah, you're a unit.
But definitely, man. So I mean, when we talk about money, yes, it was hard. It was my dad was the only one working. He didn't have papers, so he had to work in any way that he could. You come to the U.S. thinking that life is gonna be solved. You come to the U.S. thinking that you're gonna make money. You're gonna go to the trees and just pull, the leaves and just money right there. That's what you think. You come to the U.S. and you realize, no, man, you come here to work. I mean, from morning to night, and that's how you make it happen. Now, my dad and my mom are Mexican, from the roots to the head. That's who they are. So they're like, don't take any risk. Don't do anything. Just go to school. Just do this. Don't do that. And I was never that kid. I was always the one taking risks. I was always the one doing what I wasn't supposed to do. And I always loved to speak and to do things like that. So when my dad and my mom, I remember one time we were to a supermarket. And my dad wanted to talk to this guy because he wanted to know something about some products. And the guy was just mean to him because he didn't speak to him in English. And I was a kid, man. I just 14 years old. And I remember that. And I went up to the guy and I told him in Spanish. And he was like, I'm sure he said, I don't know what he said. I don't know what he said, but I'm sure he was just mad. And I talked to my dad. I said, what did you tell him? I said, I talked to him in Spanish. I said, well, I don't understand English, but he doesn't understand Spanish. So we're in the same level. We're equal. We're in the same side, and we can fight this like that. And that was me all the time. And when we have to face adversity in my family, the biggest one was that my brother wasn't here no more. He was in Mexico. He was in Monterrey. And
what was the age difference between you and your brother?
Yeah, so 9 years.
9 years. He was 9 years older than you.
Yes, okay. Yes. So I miss the guy, man. We sleep together. We play together. He would just push me around.
He was just your older brother.
Yeah, man. I was the kid, and he was the older brother. He was the one teaching me how to dance and how to do all the things. And the fact that he wasn't here was just really hard for me. That was making me feel I was depressed.
So when did your brother leave?
So my brother was here for 1 year, and then he got deported to Mexico. And the reason why he got deported is because he went to Mexico, and then he came back, and then they realized that his visa was not used. It was not used only for tourism. He was used to actually work, and that's what they just send him back to Mexico. And that was the toughest thing that we have to face. The fact that we were not together. My brother and I mean, that was my hero. That was my guy. And I feel like that's the story of that is not that you don't hear in the news all the time. That you get to hear what we go through here, and that we have to face adversity, but at the same time, we as human beings are designed to face adversity. That's what I believe. We as human beings are designed to be able to go through stuff like that and face it. but I feel like we're not designed to be apart from each other.
Broken, yeah,
That's
broken as a family.
that's definitely something that affected my family, my mom, and I went through depression when I was in high school because I just missed the guy. I wanted to be with him, and we'll FaceTime and stuff like that. And then December come, and then his birthday, and then my birthday, and we couldn't be together, and we had to face a lot of things, and it was hard. It was definitely hard. And one of the toughest things is that even though he was an older brother, we looked at him like he was a younger brother because he had epilepsy. So then, he would go through epilepsy, and then we were just here. We couldn't go to Mexico to help him out. We couldn't do anything but send him money.
He'll get seizures.
Yeah, man. So then we have to face that adversity. And I feel like throughout everything that happened in my life, that is the only thing that I can tell you that I remember the most, and it hurts because I know that I wasn't there for him and I couldn't help him out. Unfortunately, my brother passed away in 2019 in January, and we couldn't do anything. It was 14 years of just talking on the phone, 14 years of just, being like that. And then it happened. So what do you do? And then my mom couldn't even go to Mexico to actually bury him because she would have gone to Mexico and then she wasn't going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
So that's the tough part of being an immigrant. Not going through struggle, not, being poor or not having money. We're designed to face that. But we're not designed to be able to go through something like that where you can't do anything when a family member is going through something, or you can do anything to actually be there for him.
Be there for them.
And that was the biggest one. Now, throughout this whole time, I jumped like from one point A to B, but when we came here, I promised my dad that, I wasn't going to be able to take care of them. That was a promise. I tell you, what, you brought me to the U.S. and it's now my opportunity to be able to do something for the family. Nobody has graduated from college and I did it. And then, nobody has ever, created a company, and I created my company. She wanted a house. My mom always wanted a house. I bought the house for her. My dad wanted a truck. I bought the truck for him. I've been able to do what I wanted to do in the U.S. and I'm 29 years old, man. This is just starting. This is just, this spring. And I think, you can tell me that, but I feel like we confuse entrepreneurship with being a sprint and a marathon. It's a marathon. I'm just barely starting. It's the first lap, and I'm just getting ready for the rest, and I'm going for up to the rest. But at the same time, like I said, having that family member not with you anymore is definitely tough. You don't never get you never forget about it.
You'll never forget about it.
You never forget about it. But at the same time, it's motivation for you to do something else in the country. The first book that I wrote, Yo Soy Americano, I am an American, and that book caused so much controversy. Because they were saying, well, I'm an American. Well, you're not an American, man. You're Mexican. I'm like, well, America is a continent. It's not a country. So then it caused so much controversy out there because of the name. And at the beginning when I created that book, I was a high school teacher. And I remember the first 30 books that were bought were from my principal in Sam Houston High School from HISD. He bought the books, and then they were delivering to my class, and I have the video. They were delivering to my class. I remember I opened the box. And then I realized that, well, I was a student in this high school from 2006 to 2010. I went and graduated in 2014. I came back as a teacher now. And in 2016, I was teaching that same class with my own book now, with my name on it. And I was the teacher, and I was the author, and I was doing this for the kids. That was a big moment for me.
So tell us, people who don't know, what is Yo Soy Americano? What is the book about?
Yeah, Yo Soy Americano is for the AP Spanish class. So then the book is designed to help the kids to be able to pass the test, so that way they can get credits for college. And that was the book. That was it was designed for that.
So it's for kids who are taking Spanish class.
Yeah, educational purposes.
Okay.
So then they have to, they use the book for activities and stuff like that, and then they can, they do it for the test, and that's how they pass the test.
What is America Edition 2 about?
America Edition 2 is the same thing. It's the same book, different edition, but now it's called America. And then edition 3 as well. In 2017, that was the first edition that came out. And I gotta be completely honest. When you talk about entrepreneurship, it's easy to think that it's gonna work, but it's easy to think that it's not going to work and be ready for that. That's just how it is. I was always ready for the no. I was always ready for this is not gonna work. I was ready for this book is just not compared to the other ones. It's not gonna work. And I wrote the book, and I said, about myself, I got to be my own marketer. I had to be my own salesman. I had to be my own driver. I had to do everything. Distribute the book. I got to print the book. I got to design the book. I have to do everything by myself. I didn't have money to do anything else when I was writing the book. So I had the book together. I got the chance for the principal to buy the book, the first copies. And then, so what do you do now? Where do you sell it to? I mean, what district is going to go to you and say, hey, this is just a high school teacher with a book. Let's buy it. It wasn't going to work like that. So then I said, well, what else can I use that I know how to do to be able to make this work? Well, I know how to communicate myself. I know how to talk to people. I know how to speak. I know how to, that's my ability. I said, okay, well, what do you like to do? I said, well, I want to help other kids. So then let's connect the dots. I said, you know what? I'm going to become a speaker. I'm going to speak for the kids, and I'm going to tell them about my life and what I've done. And then they're going to like the book, and they're going to buy the book. That's what I thought. That was my sales speech, right? So then I realized that I was liking speaking way too much. I spoke for my kids in Sam Houston High School. That was the first speech ever. And then HISD had this conference called Dreamers. And I asked them if they could let me speak. And the lady said, you know what, we don't have no time. It's already set up. I mean, we cannot give you anything. I said, just give me some minutes and I will speak for the kids. She was like, well, I'll give you 5 minutes if you want. You can be here on Saturday morning. You have to be on 9 to 9:05, and that's it. You're not going to speak for anymore. I said, okay, that's fine. I will go there. So I stayed from 9 to 9:25. I didn't let go of the microphone. I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity. I am not going to let this go. I'm going to speak for the kids. And I started speaking, man. I was just speaking to them. We were having a good time. I was making them laugh. I was talking about my life, and they started crying, and I recorded everything. So the lady got my microphone at the end. She's like, you just ruined the whole event. I said, well, I mean, look at them. They're having fun. So that was the first speech that I did. That was in 20.
She was mad at you.
She was really mad, man. Until this day, this lady just doesn't talk to me no more. It was like, you just ruined everything. So and then in that time in 2017, I said, you know what? This is it. This is how I'm going to get my company to fight with the big monsters of the industry, with all these big guys. And that's how I'm going to do it. So then I started speaking for the kids. So for the next 2 years, I just went out and I started speaking to them. I spoke in California, New York, and Miami, and Kansas. I went to all these places. I was paying for my own flight tickets. I was paying for my own hotel, for my own Uber. I was doing everything. I was just getting in contact with them. I said, hey, my name is Carlos Salazar. I would like to speak for the kids. Who are you? I'm like, this is who I am. And then Telemundo find out about me. So then Telemundo, did a national interview, then like many local interviews, and then Univision, and then Channel 34, and then all these channels became like, oh, I want to know about this guy. So then there's articles online as well, and they're starting knowing who I am, and I was just speaking for the kids. And then I got the chance to get in contact with Dallas ISD. Dallas ISD was super interested about the book. They're like, well, what do you sell? Who are you? Like, we read these articles about you, your videos and everything that you're doing. Who are you? So, well, I'm just a teacher. I'm a high school teacher, but then, my company was One Way Education Publishing by that time. I said, well, I'm representing One Way Education Publishing. Okay, so what do you sell? I'm like, well, I have this book. They're like, well, I sold the book. It was American edition, edition 1. They're like, well, it's not good enough, to be honest, for us. But if you go back, redesign the whole thing and make it better, you might have a chance with Dallas ISD. And man, dude, it was my first chance to have a big contract, to be able to have capital, to be able to get the company, at least, the foundation of the company started. I said, well, I went back and I was working from, in Sam Houston High School from 6 a.m. all the way to 3:30 or 4:30. And I would stay there and use it as my office. So then, the people cleaning, they knew that I was going to be there until 11 p.m. every single day. Mm-hmm. And I was writing the book and designing the book and doing it by myself and watching YouTube videos, how to design, how to use InDesign, how to use that, how to use this, what do you buy pictures, how do you do this? And then, it became American Edition 2. And I took it to the lady 6 months later. I said, well, this is what I have. And this is what I think is good enough for the district. And she said, well, give it to the teachers, let them use it for 3 months. And if I like it, then we'll see what happens. They use it for 3 months. They fell in love with the product. They love the product. And I got a contract with them for 8 years.
Wow.
They bought books for the next 8 years.
So that means, and so then you came with edition 3.
Yep.
Man,
yep.
You know what? You just gave me goosebumps. So are you going to have edition 4?
Yeah, so now what we're doing is we want to have every single level in Spanish. So then
you basically, so it's edition 2, level 1, edition 3, level 2. and then expert or whatever, like something like that.
No, so America Edition 1 was the same book for America Edition 2 and Edition 3. It was just a better book. We were just recreating the same book.
Now you're just gonna have a little higher level,
exactly,
a little more fluency level, and stuff like that.
So now we're gonna do Anécdotas 1 and 2, which is for heritage speakers, and then we got America for EP language, and then we're gonna do Aprendemos for EP literature. And now we have the whole line of products that the districts can buy, and now we have schools all over the U.S.
So now Dallas ISD went through. I mean, have you had any contact with any other ISDs?
Yeah, definitely. So Houston ISD is super interested. They might buy it in the future. And then we have schools in New York. We have schools in Miami.
What about local school district like Cy-Fair, Galena Park?
Believe it or not, it's
Humble.
It's complicated. It has been more complicated for me to deal with school districts in Houston, close to Houston, than outside of Houston for some reason.
And why?
I have no idea. I try to, I've been in contact with them.
Dallas ISD is the second biggest school district.
That's right.
In Texas.
In Texas. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if they're buying it and they're seeing results, why can't is there someone you are talking to? You're not talking to?
We do a marketing. We do a pretty good marketing with the books. However, we need to have more books to be able to sell like the whole line of products. That's what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So by this December, we're coming out with the next 4 books, and now we have everything that they need for. So then the company, we try to make sure that we do everything for them. However, at this point, we have a learning site that is called Nosotros Online. And that learning site, it is the best learning site in the whole country.
It's called Nosotros Online?
Nosotros Online.
And so what does Nosotros Online do?
So every single book that we have, then the book is not physical anymore. Well, you can buy it if you want it, but everybody's going online. So then what they do is we grab this website. We invested so much money on this website to make it the best in the educational department for AP language. So then we put the books as an ebook, and now they can do anything and everything with that website, with their cell phones, with their iPads, with their computers. So they can be at home and they can be learning and they can do everything. So we look at the competitors. We did everything that we had to do, the research, and now we came with this website. So now we have the best website. So
Carlos, this is for like in school where they take Spanish 1, Spanish 2, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the people who take Spanish 1, Spanish 2, they don't speak Spanish. Spanish is not their mother tongue. Is the second language.
Yes.
Right. So how do they learn it? On your website, do you have like English translation as well? Do you have almost like a Google translator? Basically, like if I say, hey, I want to go use the restroom, right? Mm-hmm. If I don't speak Spanish, I don't know how to say. So even though if it says, how do I learn? How do I learn by myself?
Definitely. So then this website, Nosotros Online, we're not trying to compete with Rosetta Stone or anything like that. Right. We're just focusing in the school system, in the school education department. That's what we're looking for. We don't want to fight with the other guys. So what we want to have is just every single level in the school, from middle school to high school. That's what we're looking for now.
So you're more curriculum based.
That's right. That's what we said.
It's not Nosotros Online. It's not competing with Rosetta Stone or other companies like Rosetta. So it's not like I got to go to school. It got to be my school curriculum. That's basically right. What it is.
Yes.
But so now let's just say, for example, I go to Cy-Fair ISD, right? And Cy-Fair ISD does not buy books or does not partners with don't buy American Edition 2 or American Edition 3. And I'm not, and you're not partners. My school district is not partners with you. Mm-hmm. Can I go learn on Nosotros Online?
Definitely. So if the district doesn't buy the product, then any teacher can go buy and buy their license. They can go online and they can use the product.
So you license the product, and how much is the licensing?
So right now it's $43.
$43
per piece every year. Per year.
$43 per user per year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if I'm a teacher and I buy the $43, I can teach it to my students.
Definitely.
Okay. But if my student wants to get on there,
then they have to buy their own license.
They have to buy their own license.
That's right.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's just nosotrosonline.com.
Yeah. So the website, that's the learning site. The website is onewayeducation.com.
Onewayeducation.
With the number 1. Yes.
Okay. The number 1. So number 1, the one as a number 1,
yes.
education.com.
That's right.
Okay. What's the name of your company, Carlos? One more
One Way Education.
So that's what it is. One Way Education. Mm-hmm. Now, is it the number 1 or ONE?
Number 1.
Number 1. So the number 1
yes.
way education.com. Mm-hmm. Carlos, now, if someone wants to find you, someone wants to talk to you, are you on social media?
Definitely. So they can just look me up as Carlos Salazar or they
Okay.
can look me up for Mr. Salazar Speaks.
Mr. Salazar Speaks or Carlos Salazar. Where are you at on your? Are you parked on Facebook, Instagram?
I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, so they can.
And so you have both names on everything.
That's right.
Carlos Salazar, Mr. Salazar Speaks.
That's right.
Okay. Are you still a teacher today?
No, I'm not. I stopped being a teacher 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I couldn't do it anymore. I had to focus on my company full time.
Okay.
And now it's just taking my whole time for everything. We have employees in Mexico. We have employees here in the U.S. And we have employees in El Salvador as well.
Okay.
So I had to literally leave the teaching to be able to do this full time. So I'm grateful, man. It's growing. This company is growing, and I feel like we're doing the right thing. We're actually hitting the right spot.
So what is the short term goal for One Way Education?
We want to get LA. Los Angeles ISD,
Okay.
Unified School District. That is the biggest goal as of now. We're trying our best to be able to get the contract by next school year, and that is the second biggest district in the U.S.
Okay.
That is the goal that we want.
So who's the biggest school district in the U.S.?
New York.
Oh, New York.
Yes.
Okay. So now you want to get in the Southern California and the Los Angeles School District. What will it take realistically in your mind to get there?
Man, we're doing the right steps right now.
Okay.
We're making it happen. We're making it happen. We are taking the right steps. You have to listen to the customer, like in any company. You gotta listen to them. We listen to the teachers. We listen to the students, and then we are creating. My company is innovation. We don't really care about what happened in the past. We want to innovate. We want to do something different. We want to bring the technology side into this business. I feel like there's one thing that I hate about curriculum. We have books, man, that don't change for 8 years. So if you're in the Spanish class and you're in AP language, right, and you're using this book, that same book is going to stay with you from 2008. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that we're not changing and making the curriculum better every single year. We're living in this society that we are just becoming, we're changing dramatically every single month, every single year. So it makes no sense for us to not change the curriculum. So one thing that we're doing in this company is that we hire people to rewrite the curriculum every single year for the students. That means that they get to talk about current events every single year, man. So for example, the book that we are coming out on December, it's including what happened from January to December of 2020.
Carlos, tell me something. Let's go back a little bit in memory lane over here. You came over here with your parents. Y'all struggled, lost, basically lost a family member in 2019. But before that, you lost them to the immigration policies. Your family was separated. You promised your dad and mom that, hey, I'm gonna take care of you. You went to school, you went to college, graduated. You were able to accomplish a lot of dreams and promises. Deliver on some promises you had. What made you? You're a teacher. Okay, for somebody, they're like, you know what, man, this is pretty good. I'm teaching. I'm doing this, doing this. What made you start a company and write a book? Most teachers don't think about that.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That is just a great question. That question I get asked all the time, and I'm sure you do too. I'm sure you do because you have done so much. But I gotta tell you, I felt like I was trapped inside that class. I felt like I couldn't breathe no more. It was the third year being a high school teacher, and I wanted to do more. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to make deals. I've been loving entrepreneurship since I was a little kid, man. I even when I was in high school, I opened my own company. I started giving helping kids. So I don't remember the name of the company, but I know I went to the core and I just did DBA, the number with the name, and I remember when I registered the name, the guy told me, well, this is the easy part. Now you gotta find the customers. And I replied, no, that's the hard part. That's the easy part. The name was complicated. I had to drive over here, but now I'm gonna go get the customers. That was just my head. I always wanted to do something, right? So then when I was a high school teacher, I said, you know what? I'm helping kids, but I want to be able to help myself too. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel satisfied. I wanted to be out there. So then I feel like when you find what you like, you're fine. I feel like we cannot criticize teachers and say they can be, that's what they want. They're happy, man. Let them be happy. I feel like if you're happy, taking photos, that's good. You're happy. You found happiness. You found it. There is nothing else that you gotta do. But if you're not satisfied with what you're doing, then you gotta do something. You gotta fight for what you really, really like, right?
Yes.
And I'm not even talking about money right now. I'm not talking about money. You can make 10 mil and you can be depressed in your house, man. You can have so much money and you can be depressed in your house. I didn't want to be that, and I realized that being a teacher, I did what I did in 2 years, 3 years, and then I needed to do something else. And then I took a risk. And I tell you, the first year, I took a big risk because I invested my whole savings. And when you talk about whole savings, that's like 10 grand. That's how much I had in the bank, and that was savings for me. And I said, you know what, I got to invest it in the company. And then I know my dad is he's a cultural traditional guy. He said, well, don't spend your money. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? People are gonna laugh if you don't make it. People are gonna look at you and they're like, well, this guy didn't do anything. So what are you gonna do? I said, you know what, Dad? I don't care. I don't care if people laugh at me. I said, I don't care. Like, they don't pay my bills. They don't know when you're sick. They don't know what happened to my brother. They don't know anything. Why am I gonna be sad? Why am I gonna feel like this? That I'm gonna invest everything that I have and I'm gonna go with it. And if I fall, I wanna fall, but I wanna get up again, and I'm gonna do it again. I said, because that's my happiness. Like, whoa, they look at you like as a teacher, and now you're not out there, and they look, you're an example. You're not gonna be an example no more because you fail. I'm like, that's the biggest example. I'm gonna fail and I'm gonna do it again because I'm looking for my freaking happiness, man. I'm looking for what I'm gonna do, and being a teacher, it was good for some time, but it's not no more. Like, I want to do something else. So then I invested everything, and at the beginning, I remember this so much, man. And it was September, and then I talked to Dallas ISD, and I said, you know what, I'm hoping that the deal was gonna go through. And then I had Iris, she's been helping me with everything for a long time now. I'm so bad at organizing stuff. I'm horrible. So she's been helping with everything that had to do with money, with the budgeting, with the QuickBooks and stuff like that, right, at the beginning. And then we look at the bank, and I only had $265, and it was the 1st of December. I still remember that. $265, and she's like, Carlos, well, you're not gonna make it past this month. Like, you have to pay for rent, you have to pay for everything, you have to pay for this and that. You're not gonna make it. By that time, I left my teaching job. I said, well, I'm gonna get a credit card. Like, you're not gonna give a credit card. Like, you don't have money in the bank. Who's gonna give you money? You're not gonna make it. I said, well, then I'm gonna go out there and speak. See if I can make some money speaking, or I can do anything, or I'm gonna make it. I said, I'm gonna make it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna make it. That was December 1st. December 24, I got money from Dallas ISD for a contract for 8 years, and that was $100,000. So from December 1st, having $264 to December 24, then I had enough money to survive for the next 10 years. And that's how I describe the life of entrepreneurship, man. Mm-hmm. You gotta take a risk.
You gotta take a risk. We gotta take a risk. But one thing that you said is that you felt trapped and you were not happy. And I always say that, I mean, if you go on, watch my Instagram videos, I talk about it a lot. You got to be happy at whatever you do. Yes. You got to be happy at whatever you do. Money never, I'm a strong believer that money does not buy you happiness. But not having money is much more of unhappiness. Yes. Than having the money or the afford to. The other day we had a tent sale. So this is just last week. We were at and all of a sudden it just got hot. We are Saturday, Sunday. It's me, my general manager, my brother, and our district manager. We all there, and they played. We had a DJ because we had a tent sale. We wanted people to come in, so the DJ played this song. They say money don't buy happiness, but my money made me buy a truck and a boat. And I'm going to pull my boat with my truck. I don't know if you've heard that country song. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. But yes, money does not buy happiness. You can make $10 million. You can be depressed. But you know what's more depressing is when you come to work and you're not happy.
Being trapped.
Because, and if you're happy to come to work, then you should give 199% at that work. Like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I've interviewed a lot of people, and they say that, when you're at work, you work 9 to 5 and you go home and you forget about everything, right? And it's over, right? And you work Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you don't have to worry about it. When you're an entrepreneur, you're doing much more. Today, this morning, I run a lot, so I was running and I was listening to Howard Partridge, who I've interviewed in episode 78, and he said, when you're an entrepreneur, it's not just you. Yeah, you can be good at fixing ACs, but you got to do a lot of other things.
Yep.
And entrepreneurship is much more broader, right?
Yep.
So I'm so glad you said you were not happy, you were trapped. And then the second thing, so I listened to Gary. I like Gary
Gary
Vaynerchuk.
Vee, I love him.
And Gary
man.
Vee says,
I love him.
don't listen to what your parents say.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I mean, that's one thing that you did. And that's one thing I did.
Yep.
I had blown out fights with my dad.
Yep.
But I told him I'm going to open my own business. And, it's just the immigrant mindset, right?
That is.
It's the immigrant mindset.
And then you become a firefighter. Gary Vee said the same thing. You become a firefighter. You got to deal with everything, man. I wake up in the morning. I'm 29 years old, and I have to deal with people that are 55 to 65, and they look at me like I'm a kid. Then they look at me like, you're the owner? Like, are you the CEO of this company? Like, you guys write books? I'm like, yes, I am. And that's one of the things that I have to face all the time. It's like, well, I got to deal with that. I got to deal with the people thinking that I'm a kid. And then I have to deal with, something happened in Mexico with the writers, and then something happened in El Salvador with the writers.
Man, it's fire every day. You're a firefighter.
The website is not working, and you get all these emails, and then you get complaints, and then you got to deal with that. And then this guy decides to not show up in the work today, and it's like, you got to deal with everything, man. But at the same time, I love it. Like, I don't see myself doing anything else but that.
And like I said, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but for somebody who does it, who likes it, who loves it, then they breathe it, they live it, because you are doing way much more. You're a firefighter. You're putting out fires early in the morning to, sometime at night. I mean, in my situation, I mean, somebody ran into an apartment door, or did something crazy, or, salesperson didn't answer the customer's phone when the customer was upset when their delivery was there. I mean, it's just like everything, right?
Yep.
I mean, it happens all the time. And shit happens when you're in business.
But definitely, there's one thing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the biggest reason why all these kids are not succeeding in entrepreneurship is because they have big ego. Having a huge
ego and pride.
That is the first thing that I tell them all the time. If you have a big ego, you're not going to make it here. You're not going to make it in the wild. Because you're going to deal with people that knows way more than you. And instead of having a big ego, be ready to listen.
Humble yourself.
Be ready to listen to them. Because they will tell you things. I said, maybe you talk to them for 1 hour, but one sentence is going to change your life out of that 1 hour talk. And I'm always listening. I'm always ready to listen, man. Like, I'm always ready to listen to other people, to learn from them. And I spend my time like watching podcasts so much.
And that's you're right. You're right. A lot of people who, I mean, it's not that they don't make it entrepreneurship. They jump from job to job. They get fired at their job. They quit at the job. I always say your job is your blessing.
Yes.
It's a blessing. Okay. If you have a business, it's a blessing. If you have a car, it's a blessing. Don't look at what the other guy is driving. Okay. Because your hoopty is someone else's dream car.
Yep.
Your shitty job is someone else's shitty, dream job.
Yep.
Your shitty apartment is someone else's dream apartment.
Yep.
Your, crappy furniture, some people don't have it.
Yep.
And I mean, I had, so when we were in this tent sale, right? And I'm going to go back to your interview. I'm sorry, I'm deviating.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
But so we were at this tent sale, and Baltimore, he's one of my district managers. Me and him grew up together. We met on a soccer field when we were 16 years old, right? I tried to fight his friend. He came from behind. We became best friends. I was in his wedding. I mean, we were really good friends. And he has worked for me, but work is work.
Yeah.
Business is business. And Balti is like, Sam, who's gonna buy this? Nobody's gonna buy this. We're wasting time. He had never worked a tent sale. I said, Balti, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yep.
And the piece that he was saying, 2 hours later, this lady came in. He was looking at this, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is great." And he's like, "I can't believe this." I'm like, Balti, they've never had furniture.
Yep.
To them, this is a seat. This lady made 4 seats out of something you wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, she will put a sheet on it or something, and it all matches.
Yep.
He's like, it's different colors. I said, once you put a white sheet on it, bro, it all matches.
Yep.
Okay. I said, all of a sudden, if she has 5 kids, now she got 4 seats.
That's right.
They can all sit on there. They're not sitting on the floor no more.
But then at the same time, where you're speaking now is that you have a vision and you know that something is going to work. Even if it doesn't have to work the first day, the second day, the third day, like in a month, in 2 years, I just feel like patience is so important.
Patience is so important, man. And so let's get back to your story right here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry for deviating
No,
over
no,
here. You know, it's your interview, and I'm just start blabbing sometimes. But yes, you're right. So you were trapped in this classroom,
Yeah.
and you wanted to be happy.
Mhm.
So you go out on your own. December 2018, December 2nd.
Man, I've been
No, when was it?
the company was
No, when
founded.
did you get your contract? What year?
Oh, with 2018,
2018.
the first month
So
of.
December 2nd, 2018, you have $265.
Yep.
December 24th, you get a a couple of $100,000
That's right.
contract with Dallas ISD, and it's the beginning of something new,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, so you got guys who are now writing and helping and ghostwriting in Mexico and El Salvador
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Well, what do you want to leave behind? I mean, let's just say today, 10 years from today, you're in 30 school district or 40 school district, and God willing, it's gonna happen, right? And because you're a hard worker, you're gonna get up, make it happen, and it will happen. What happens next?
You know, I'm gonna tell you this. My books or the books for this company, because I that's selfish talking about myself, talking about everything that we're doing in this company now. We're going to become the best books in the Spanish department for the whole country,
Okay.
and in the next 3 years.
So no, but let's just say, 10 years from today,
Mhm.
40 school district or 50 school district have your books,
Mhm.
right? And you're writing them, you're constantly changing them. Is there anything next that you want to do that onewayeducation.com want to dive into 10 years from today?
There's one big project that I want to do.
Uh-huh.
Whenever we get to that stage, when we are stable in this country, there's one big project that I always talk about. What I want to do is I want to find these small towns in the Hispanic countries. I'm talking about Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, Argentina, like every country that speaks Spanish.
Guatemala, yeah.
I want to go and I want to find those little spaces. And what I want to do is I want to be able to afford to build a small school, because they might not have one, and then be able to get these contributions where we're going to be able to pay for the yearly salary for a teacher, and create that in at least 10 different countries. And I want to be able to make that happen. And the reason why I want to do that is because we're in the US, but then I also lived in Mexico. And in Mexico, I remember I didn't even have an AC.